Welcome to my channel, Rise of Edge Crusher. I'm an Overwatch coach with a specific focus on helping bronze and silver players learn the skills they'll need to rank up out of bronze and silver, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about what each role wishes the other roles were aware of. If you're a tank main in silver, you probably haven't put a lot of dedicated, meaningful practice into the DPS and support roles. You have a general idea of what they should be doing, and you can feel when they're not doing it, but you don't have a good grasp on what it's like to experience the game from their perspective. Likewise, if you're a DPS main in a lower rank, you probably don't have a great understanding of what it's like to experience the game from a tank or support's perspective, and so on. This video is meant to bridge those gaps, bring clarity to the struggles of each role, for the other roles, and teach you what you can do to better help your teammates. Everyone on a team helping each other, instead of being angry and frustrated with each other, goes a huge way to increasing your chances of a win. So we're going to start with the tanks. I'm going to explain what the tanks wish the other roles understood about what they're doing, and what they wish the other roles would do to help them do their jobs. The tanks wish that the DPS understood that a tank can't just move up and hold a position solo indefinitely. They need some reinforcement to keep that front line strong, and they wish the DPS would understand this and help them hold the front line instead of going for solo frags on the off angle or the flank route. As a DPS player, you see an enemy who's isolated themselves on a flank angle, and you think, I can win this 1v1. This is a free kill. I'm gonna go take it. Now I'm gonna describe what the tank player sees. They're walking up, facing down the entire enemy team, and trying to keep track of their teammates behind them. If they're Reinhardt, they're closing the distance to the corner the enemy team is holding. If they're Winston, they're looking for a good position to jump in and start getting some enemies weaker. If they're Wrecking Ball, they're looking for opportunity to go in, to displace and disrupt some enemies. So anyway, the tank goes in, hammer swinging, or Tesla cannon zapping, or rolling through the enemy. They're weakening these enemies. They're forcing out support resources, things like Moira Orbs, or negation resources like Diva's Defense Matrix. And then, nothing is happening. The fight's at a standstill. And then the enemy team starts to push back, and the tank is suddenly down most of their health, and they're forced to back off and play extremely passive, and that doesn't feel good for them. They look around to see what the heck is going on, and their DPS is off in a corner 1v1ing the enemy DPS, not helping them keep control of that front line. And this doesn't benefit either player. Without the reinforcement of the DPS, the tank can't keep control of the front line indefinitely. And without the help from their teammates, the DPS might not be able to win this 1v1. Because this DPS, they might be mechanically skilled enough to win a straight 1v1, right? If you just queued for a 1v1 and you only have you and your opponent on the map. But the enemy DPS eventually is going to receive help from their teammates. They're going to get some healing, or they're going to get a Zarya bubble or something, and that will end up swinging the fight in their favor. And because this tank and DPS are taking two separate fights, it's forcing the support player on your team to look back and forth trying to keep both players healed. It's splitting the resources and putting both players at a disadvantage that they wouldn't be at if they were just focusing the same target. And for our wonderful support players out there, the tanks wish the supports understood that unless someone else is being focused harder at the moment for some reason, it is more important for the support to heal the tank, even if they've only taken a little bit of damage, even if they're not critical, than it is to be DPSing, helping the DPS secure their kills on the off angles. By the time your tank is critical, the fight has already shifted out of your favor, and will be difficult to recover. A critical tank can't control space. They can't perform their function in the team fight. They're forced to back up to stay alive and play extremely cautious, and they give up ground to the enemy team. As a support, it's really important to keep your tank above 3/4 of their health all the time. If you wait until they're critical to start healing them, the team fight may already be unrecoverable for your team. Next up, what DPS players wish the other roles would do and understood about their job. And no, they don't just wish for more healing. Not all of them. If you're a tank, the DPS players are hoping that you're not timid. Few things make a DPS player's job harder than having a timid tank on their team. They want you to move up first and force the enemy team to pay attention to you, instead of waiting in a safe area forever until they get a kill, because they're going to have a really hard time getting that kill if you're not drawing that attention from the enemy team away from them. In lower ranks, there's often a misconception that DPS are supposed to lead the team fight and create an opening for the tanks to move in by getting an early kill to begin the engage. While it's possible to win a fight that way, it's difficult and unreliable. What should be happening ideally is that the tanks move up just a little bit and announce their presence with authority. Hey, look at me! I'm a monkey! Or a hamster! Or an angry German man swinging a hammer in your face! It's a great big target that's difficult to miss, and when the entire enemy team is paying attention to you, there's no one putting pressure on your DPS. That makes it much easier for them to get those glorious kills that you'd like to see. If you're a support main, this is what your DPS would like you to know. They can't do a thing to protect you, even if they really want to, if you keep backing up further and further away from your team. This is a common situation that I see in low ranks, where a support gets attacked by something, like a Genji or a Tracer, and so they keep backing up, trying to get farther away from this flanker that's diving them. They back up, and they're putting themselves further away from their team, so anyone who wants to help them and put pressure on this flanker has to struggle to get within range. Then the support is frustrated because they feel like no one is peeling for them, no one is helping them, and anyone who tried to peel for them and help them is frustrated because the support chose to position in a way that made it impossible. So if you're a support player, it's really important that if you're getting dived, if you're getting attacked, make sure you are going towards your teammates who can help you. Don't just keep backing up away from them. Last, but certainly not least, let's talk about the perspective of the support players. Though they may not get the showiest plays or light up the kill feed most of the time, they are the glue that holds the team together and deserve more recognition than they get for what they do. If you're playing tank, your supports would like you to know that if you walk around the corner from them or through an enemy shield, they can't heal you. If the enemy team is playing split or timid and you're pushing up really aggressively to take control of that ground away from them, that's great. That's a great thing to be doing. But you need to play with the understanding that you're not going to have a healer until you get back up to a position that's closer to the payload, objective, or safe piece of map geometry that your team has control of. And if you're a DPS player, your supports are hoping you understand that if you're in a position far away from your tank, even if it's a safe position and you're getting a lot of good value there, you're forcing them to choose between healing you or healing the tank. And most of the time, they're going to have to choose the tank. There is value in flanking, taking an off angle, even playing on the off angle consistently to deny it to the enemy team. And if you're playing in such a position, you need to have a plan to get a health pack or return to the main group of your team for healing. It's incredibly difficult most of the time for your supports to heal you in those flank or off angle positions. I have one final note before I bring this video to an end. No matter what role you're on, the other roles would like you to refrain from judging them as less skillful than your own role. There are a variety of different skill sets that a player can master in Overwatch, and each of them has its own value. Placing your crosshair on an enemy head and clicking is a skill. So is moving in a way that makes it difficult for the enemy to place their crosshair on your head. So is predicting what's going to happen next in the team fight, such as the enemy using a shatter or a grav, and being prepared for that. And so is having the intuitive awareness of where each player is on the map without needing to actively look around for them in order to know that information. Those Mercy and Rhine players are not skillless just because the skills needed to play them effectively aren't centered around the crosshair and placing the crosshair in a specific spot. Likewise, Widow players aren't skillless just because the majority of what they do is about placing the crosshair. If you have the mindset that someone else on your team is weak just because of the role or the hero they chose on the select screen, then you need to check your attitude because that one won't help you mesh with your teammates and take down the enemy. That concludes my video on what each role wishes yours would do. I hope you found this video helpful. Please feel free to leave any questions, comments in the feedback in the comment section below. Good luck in all your Overwatch conquests.